Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Undisputed Wrestling YouTube channel. And as you see from the title of this is something I've never done, but I feel like now would be the appropriate time to actually finally do a Hall of Fame ceremony. I've got a lot of people lined up for this ceremony. Uh, they will be inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. I got permission from a handful of these guys to induct them into the Hall of Fame. And so that is what we are here for. We are inducting people who, in my humble opinion, deserve it into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. So if you'll give me just a minute, we will get into the induction. Give me just 1 second. All right. So, hang on, I'm getting a little bit set up here. All right. So, RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 live induction ceremony. Like I said, the 2024 Hall of Fame class will go to some people who I thought deserved it. So, and like I said, I got permission from a handful of these guys to induct them into the RUW Hall of Fame class. And some of them have never even shown their face in RUW. So, who is going into the Hall of Fame class of 2024? Like I said, I've got a lot lined up. So, to answer the big question, who is going into the RUW Hall of Fame class? We'll get to that in just a minute. Hello, Mr. Taylor. How are you doing tonight? We are live with the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 live induction ceremony. So let's go ahead and get into it. Who am I inducting into the Hall of Fame class of 2024 for Real Undisputed Wrestling? Well, I'm inducting none other than the entire WEF Backyard Wrestling Company. I got permission from the owner of the company, Chris Nitro, and it is official. The entire WEF company, every single one of its stars, they are all going into the RUW Hall of Fame. This is my way of remembering them. So let's go ahead and get into the induction. So, first, we are going to induct the owner of WEF, a man who has quite an impressive track record when it comes to backyard wrestling. Chris Nitro, You will be the very first induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. A former WEF Macho Man champion and a really impressive athlete. And he was also the man who trained me in backyard wrestling. So obviously, you know, a guy I've got a lot of respect for. Chris Nitro, inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame. His legacy and contributions to backyard wrestling will be remembered forever here in Real Undisputed Wrestling. As far as I know, he's not really wanting to do this anymore. He's not really wanting to wrestle, which sucks because Chris Nitro is or was the number one contender for the RUW World Heavyweight Championship. So, got to do something a little bit different there. But as I said, Chris Nitro, the shit, I just had a brain fart. Chris, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Chris Nitro, the very first induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Congratulations, Chris Nitro. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 will be the final ever WEF Macho Man champion, that being Trenton Crusher. You know, Trenton Crusher had previously appeared in RUW just like Chris Nitro. He appeared on the second show, even though the second show was just one really, really long match. He was a part of that match, making his debut in the process. And his career in WEF, certainly something you got to go check out. You know, check out WEF Wrestling on YouTube and go see the work of, well, really everyone that I'm inducting into this Hall of Fame class. And Trenton Crusher was also a former WEF Tag Team Champion. So, you know, does he want to continue wrestling again? I don't know. Maybe. From what I know, maybe. So, yeah. So Chris Nitro and Trenton Crusher inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Our next induction is someone I have quite a history with in WEF. Former WEF Intercontinental Champion and the first ever and only ever WEF Ladder City briefcase holder and the first ever WEF Macho Man champion. Our next induction is none other than the Red Kingdom Destroyer. Destroyer, like I said, someone I have a lot of history with, but you know, after me and him had our feud and we had our matches, he certainly earned my respect. You know, someone I've got a lot of respect for, someone that I would love to face down the line again. Maybe for my RUW World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe, you know, if he wants to if he wants to continue doing this again, maybe that's something that me and him can do in the future at some point. So Destroyer is our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class, and our next induction is someone who has never appeared in RUW before. However, his career in WEF, undoubtedly some of the best work I have ever seen from a backyard wrestler. The character work, the mannerisms, the moves. He knew exactly what he was doing every time he stepped into that ring. Ladies and gentlemen, our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class, a former WEF United States champion, the Madhouse Jackal. You know, before before WEF shut down, he was going to face Trent Crusher for the WEF Macho Man Championship. But unfortunately, due to WEF's final decision to shut the company down and not continue shows, he never got that title match. Does he still want to wrestle? That is something I don't know. That is up to him. Maybe I could give him a world title match at some point. You know, the Madhouse Jackal, one of the best people that I've ever met. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. The very first time I ever met him was when I went there for the 2021 WEF Big Rumble. That was the first time I had ever met him. He's a pretty cool guy. Madhouse Jackal is a pretty cool guy. Someone you definitely got to go check out. And if you know him, you can vouch for me. Incredible guy. Our next induction is also a former WEF United States champion. He has made an appearance in RUW, second show. Our next induction is Lumberjack. Lumberjack is someone that I have faced before, but that was in TBW as part of the Backyard Wrestling Welterweight Championship Tournament. That was a match I came up short in, but you know, I have my opinions on Lumberjack. You know, I don't really like him. I don't think he's the best guy I've ever met, but he can kind of rub people the wrong way. But overall, he knows what he's doing when he steps into the ring. Sometimes he can be a little egotistical and put himself over more than he should. But nonetheless, certainly earned your spot into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. I believe he's wanting to go pro eventually, so I wish him the best of luck on that. That is something that I am also wanting to do, but I don't think it's really the time yet to do that. So might wait a little bit before I fully advance to pro. So Lumberjack, congratulations on you stepping into the door of pro, training for that, getting your pro license and stuff like that. Also, congratulations on your RUW Hall of Fame induction. Our next induction is someone who has never held a championship in WEF. And however, he is a former member of the Influence, which is a faction that I led. Our next induction is Toxic. Toxic, someone with a lot of potential. He had a lot of talent. He was very agile. He could move around the ring pretty damn quick. He's a decent guy to meet and talk to. Someone I have a lot of respect for. He was actually one of the first people that I thought would fit in well with my faction. Like, if I had him under my wing, that would be great and absolutely fantastic. And he ended up being a pretty damn good fit for the Influence in WEF, the second coming of the Influence, because there was one who was only a part of RUW, and that version of the Influence consisted of me, Ghost, James Wrestling, and yeah. So congratulations to Toxic on your RUW Hall of Fame induction. Your talent in WEF is certainly what gave you the ability to earn this. Our next induction is a former WEF Intercontinental Champion and also a former WEF Tag Team Champion, alongside Trend Crusher. Ladies and gentlemen, our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is none other than JT. JT will be going into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. His contributions to WEF, he was one of the top stars in WEF. He was feuding with Grizzly, like I said, a former WEF Intercontinental Champion. Destroyer cashed in his Ladder City briefcase to get the Intercontinental Championship. JT, someone that I have a lot of respect for. His contributions to WEF and his contributions to Backyard Wrestling. He even had a few appearances in TBW. If you have not checked out his work, seriously, go do that. It is some of the best work that I have ever seen, whether it's in person or on YouTube, because I remember watching a little bit of his work shortly after I had talked to Chris Nitro about getting into the door in WEF. I watched a little bit of JT's work to see what I was in store for when I stepped foot into WEF. JT was one of the main guys that I watched. Seriously impressive stuff. But when you're there in person and you watch him wrestle, it's better. It's better than catching it on YouTube and seeing what he can do. If you're there in person and you watch him wrestle, like something straight out of a movie. And I'm not exaggerating. This man's got a lot of talent. Very agile. He can move around that ring pretty quick. That springboard clothesline of his, how he is able to maintain his balance on the middle rope, or not middle rope, on the top rope is something I'll never understand. I don't understand how he does it. So, JT, certainly earned your spot into the RUW Hall of Fame. Our next induction, actually, no, our next few inductions, they've had appearances for WEF, but like I said, I'm inducting WEF as a company into the Hall of Fame, which means all of its stars are being inducted. So this might be a long list, but our next few inductions into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 are people who are more associated with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. However, they have had appearances in WEF. So, and if you've ever checked out their work in WEF and TBW, they've certainly earned their spot to be inducted into a Hall of Fame class of some sort, even if their Hall of Fame induction is not the company that they are associated with, nor have they ever been associated with RUW. But like I've said, they've had a few appearances in WEF, and I feel like they've certainly earned their spot into the Hall of Fame here. Our very first induction is the current Tennessee Backyard Wrestling Intercontinental Champion, the Nature Boy, Gage Flair. Gage Flair, certainly the workhorse of Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, certainly earned his spot into the RUW Hall of Fame class. He appeared in the WEF Ladder City ladder match back at Ladder City. He was one of the standout performances of that match because I remember watching it and keeping my eye on him, and also our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class, which we'll get to in a minute. But Gage Flair, our current TBW Intercontinental Champion, the workhorse of TBW, certainly made a name for himself the entire time he has been in TBW, making, I believe, a few appearances for WEF. He's never made an appearance for RUW, but like I said, certainly earned his spot to be here into the Hall of Fame. At our next induction, like I said, he also took part in the WEF Ladder City. Excuse me. He also took part in the WEF Ladder City ladder match back at Ladder City. Our next induction is the current TBW Hardcore Champion, Atomic Titan. We all know how I feel about Atomic Titan. You know, he wants to talk all this trash, saying that I don't have what it takes and all this and that. But we'll get to that at a later time. I want to give Atomic Titan his flowers. A former TBW Continental Champion, if I'm not mistaken, and a former TBW World Heavyweight Champion, if I'm not mistaken. And like I said, the current TBW Hardcore Champion, Atomic Titan, certainly earned his spot to be in the RUW Hall of Fame class. You know, I've met him in person when I went to TBW in late 2021. He was one of the people there. Someone I have a lot of respect for, someone who is very charismatic in the ring and certainly knows what they're doing. So congratulations, Atomic Titan, being inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Our next induction is a former TBW United States champion. The former party animal, now the current party killer. TBW's own Fat Asian. Fat Asian, I believe he was a part of WEF for a little bit. I did know he did sign a part-time contract with WEF right before the company shut down in 2022. He was going to be a part of it. He may have made a couple appearances with WEF, but because he signed that part-time contract before WEF shut down, he's considered a part of WEF and therefore a part of the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Like I said, a former TBW United States champion, certainly a man who deserves respect, certainly does it all in the ring. That stink face, I'll try to avoid that at all costs. But congratulations, Fat Asian, on being inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Certainly earned that. Now our next one, he was a major player in WEF in late 2021. A man who I was supposed to face, not in a one-on-one match. It was supposed to be me, Lumberjack, and him in a triple threat match, which unfortunately never ended up happening due to the concussion that I suffered in the Big Rumble. He's actually the guy who eliminated me from the WEF Big Rumble, none other than our former WEF Intercontinental Champion, Anthony Steele. Anthony Steele defeating Destroyer in the very first match of the WEF Big Rumble to win the Intercontinental Championship. Anthony Steele has never made an appearance in RUW. However, his contributions to WEF and being a former WEF Intercontinental Champion earns him the right to be a part of the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. So congratulations to those handful of people who have never appeared for RUW, however, have appeared for WEF. And our next few inductions are people that I know for sure have retired from backyard wrestling. As far as I know, they don't want to do this anymore. They are done. However, their contributions to WEF will be remembered forever and carried. Their legacy will be carried on through the RUW Hall of Fame. Our next induction is the former general manager of WEF. We are inducting Andy Omega into the RUW Hall of Fame class. Someone who I've encountered before in WEF. You know, I had a tag team match against him and our next induction. When he was a general manager, The Influence had a segment with Andy Omega who shut us down real quick. We knew not to mess with the general manager, but we did it anyway, and we ended up paying for it. So there's that. Andy Omega, as far as I know, you're done with backyard wrestling, and I respect that decision. Thank you for your contributions to WEF. being the general manager and helping carry WEF through a hard time, because we were really going through a lot. Roster members, people were coming and going all the time, like in and out of WEF. So you being the general manager, kind of helping us through that. WEF appreciates that, and I appreciate WEF. So congratulations on being inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class. Now, as I said, our next induction was the man who teamed up with Andy Omega to take on me and the former Max Chaos, now Chaotic in TBW. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is a former WEF United States champion, Tranquilizer. A man I've encountered in the ring, a tough son of a gun. Like, the fact that he was able to lift me up for that power bomb, damn, how did he do it? And he about knocked my ass out on what was it? Showdown. He jumped off the middle rope, and his elbow about smacked me in the face. He about knocked me out. So a man who's definitely earned his respect, a man who's definitely earned his flowers in WEF. Like I said, a former WEF United States champion, Tranquilizer. Welcome to the RUW Hall of Fame. Our next induction, as far as I'm concerned, has never held a championship in WEF. However, he did have an undefeated streak in WEF. And he calls himself the Monster. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is none other than Big Z. As far as I'm concerned, like, he is done. He is not backyard wrestling ever again, which, like I said, is a decision that I respect. The brother of Andy Omega, Big Z, had had one hell of an undefeated streak before it was ended by our next inductee into the Hall of Fame. Big Z certainly earned his respect. A really nice guy. If you know him, you can vouch for me. So Big Z, welcome to the RUW Hall of Fame. Our next induction, like I said, is the man who ended the undefeated streak of Big Z. He appeared in RUW, winning his debut match and only match in RUW, alongside his tag team partner, who will be our next induction following him. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is a former WEF, actually one half of the last ever WEF tag team champions. We are inducting Howard the Alien into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Howard, someone that I've been into the ring with. He F5'd my ass real quick. Didn't last very long, and I was pinned in like 8 seconds, something like that. So, yeah. But Howard's a nice guy. Like once you get to know him, he's cool. A very dominant athlete in WEF, being one half of the final WEF tag team champions, alongside his tag team partner. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is someone who has also made an appearance alongside Howard the Alien, a former WEF United States champion and one half of the final WEF tag team champions. We are inducting the Hillbilly Beast, Grizzly, into the RUW Hall of Fame. Grizzly he made his RUW debut on our very first show. He took part in the Fatal 4-Way match to open up the show. And if you go back and watch the show, I offered my respects to Grizzly, at the time holding the United States. No, he was actually the last ever WEF United States champion. I'm just now remembering that. Yeah, I offer my respects to him. I said how much RUW appreciates the fact that someone as dominant as him and the United States champion is now a part of RUW, and he is now a part of the RUW Hall of Fame. So, congratulations, Grizzly, on that. Like I said, making his debut, he was the second superstar eliminated from the Fatal 4-Way elimination match, which was won by Chris Nitro, making Chris the #1 contender for the RUW World Heavyweight Championship. So, congratulations, Grizzly. I feel like I'm missing a few people. Let's see. Toxic, Tranquilizer, Grizzly, Howard. Oh, yeah. Our next induction into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 is Swamp Man. That is right. I am inducting Swamp Man into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. Certainly one hell of a character in WEF. Am I right? He's someone I took under my wing in WEF. He was a part of the Influence alongside me and Toxic. So congratulations to Swamp Man on being inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024. I feel like I'm missing a few people. If anyone is watching, I feel like I'm missing a few people to be inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame. That was a part of WEF. Hang on, let me check. I don't know. I can't really think of anybody. But like as I said, entirety of WEF, like as a company, will be inducted into the RUW Hall of Fame class, including their championships, the WEF Macho Man Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, and the tag titles. All of those will also be going into the RUW Hall of Fame. So yeah, I guess that just about does it for the live RUW Hall of Fame class of 2024 induction ceremony. Thank you for tuning in. If you did, thank you to WEF for helping RUW out as much as y'all could. For those tuning in, whether it's live or afterwards, thank you for tuning in if you did. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Deuces.